Wow, long connection.
Hey,
Hello,
yeah,
hello. Wow, it took a long time to connect your audio.
well, it did because all these windows kept popping up. Um, it took forever to get onto Zoom because they apparently updated their app
Ah,
and
right. Yeah, yeah,
everything was
yeah.
moved around. It's like, where is anything? So felt like it was just really crazy. I've been sitting here for the past 5 minutes trying to figure out how to get in. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
that was different.
Very good, very good. How are
More
you,
people.
Sher? How are you? How are you? You sound good.
I'm good. I'm good. I just thought I'd catch up.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really
No,
didn't
no, it's great.
have.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I'm very pleased. Yeah, I missed you yesterday, so I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Very cool. Very
How
cool.
did your I didn't get a chance yet to go and listen to the session that you did
Oh, it went
yesterday.
very well. It was great. It
Yes.
was great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was lots of fun. It was good. Yeah, yeah. A lot of cool stuff. Because we were, he's doing that adventure course, and so there's a lot of focus on adventure and adventure in everyday living and all this kind of stuff. And
Okay.
well, you certainly know all about adventure in everyday living. Yeah, plenty of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just the
Park it.
attitude.
Park it
Yeah.
behind.
Say
CJ,
again.
put the wheel. Just a minute. CJ, put the wheel behind. Okay, that works too. I was gonna say otherwise, just always put the wheel behind the leg of the TV stand. Okay, that works. All right, I'm back. So, okay. So I what have I done? I haven't done anything on coursework. I've just been trying to
All
function
good. All good.
here.
All good. All
Um,
good.
but what I
I
have been focused on is I've been trying to determine exactly what the shift is in the energy that's made the change. And
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
not going to say it's I'm not going to claim that it's all being positive because that's not it.
No.
Um,
No. No.
so I don't know what
No.
it
No.
is.
It
I don't
it
know what
it
the
was a
shift is.
shift in awareness and understanding, and
Okay.
that was a big deal. It was a very big deal. This shift. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Very
Um,
simple. Very simple. It's more a shift of
well,
focus, really. Yeah. Yeah. But
okay.
that
So
is a
more
shift
a
of
shift in
understanding.
focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why I was asking is just, well, if I can, if I can type, you
Please,
have those
please,
days
please. I want
too.
to listen. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
No, no, it's like, do you have those days too, where you go to type something and you're typing what you're saying and not what you're thinking?
Oh. Oh. I see. Oh. 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 Oh.
So, um, anyways, no, the shift in focus, I've been part of that's it. I would have to say deliberate, practicing being deliberate because
Oh.
I've been trying to really pay attention to what the difference is. Was it, I can't
That's
point
awesome.
to any one thing. I think it's all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a little bit more understanding about what CJ is going through,
Yes.
um, understanding how to communicate, or the need, I should say, to learn how to communicate with him. Knowing that that's a problem, I've been keeping that in the back of my mind that everything I say could be um,
The,
taken wrong, misconstrued. And I even gave him the permission, was it yesterday or the day before? Um, he was really kind of struggling reading my mood. And I finally just broke and told him to stop what I
it's
was
really
doing.
what?
I said he was having a hard time reading my mood. And
Oh, right, right,
my mood
right.
was very neutral, but he took neutral to mean that I was angry or frustrated or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
and so, oh, hold on a second. Excuse me,
Oh,
allergies. So
wow, wow.
we I just let him know that, hey, you can ask me what my mood is. If you're
Yes,
having trouble
yes,
reading what's on my
yes,
face, ask me.
yes. And
And
also, oh, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
so he did, and that's been helping. But I remind him all the time, if you're uncertain, just ask. There's
Yes,
no shame in telling people that you can't read them, or
yes,
that, you can just say, hey, I'm not quite picking up what you're I can't pick up the feeling.
Yeah, or the vibe, or yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And so then he asked me last night after practice. He's like, I don't know why that is. He said, is that just part of who I am? And I'm like, yep, it is. You know, it's just something you have to learn.
Well,
I said, we
also,
all have to learn that.
yeah, and it's a part of who you are. That how
How
you,
so?
well, how you emote and show and share. If you've been in a situation where you need to be minimal, there's a training that goes on to not emote and show emotion.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So I stay neutral.
explain to him too that you had a sort of a training which you know it's not a negative in the long term, but it
No.
does have this residual effect. Yeah.
Yeah. I did briefly share that with him that
Yeah.
this challenge that he has with reading people. I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just something you have to learn.
Yeah.
But I did tell him, I was like,
Correct.
most
Correct.
times I stay
Correct.
neutral because
Yeah.
that is who I am. Um,
Yeah.
the only way
Yeah.
that I can really control my anger is to remain in a neutral state. And I know that's true
Yes.
because is all my anger from my life gone? Oh no, no, not even close.
Right. Correct.
But I know how to manage it.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Um,
Yes.
and it's
And I think this is very helpful for you. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry, I lost you there.
well, because for me, I don't, the reception is bad here today, and I don't know why.
It's okay.
I don't know
You
if
get
it's storms or what, but
yeah.
I'm, I'm looking at my Wi-Fi. Everything's as clear as it can get. So,
Yeah.
anyway, this focus, I've been, like I said, I was trying to figure out. I can understand that it's a shift in understanding that I'm paying more attention to understand. Um, but where does awareness come in? Is the awareness the part
One
where,
second, sure. One second. One second. Sure. Can you hold 1 second?
yeah,
I need to get something out, but it's noisy. And where'd it go? There we go. Just a lot of plastic around it.
uh,
Okay. There we go. All right. Carry on. Yeah. Yeah.
all right. So, anyways, like I was saying, is I can see where this shift comes from understanding.
Yeah.
That part I connected with, but I wasn't quite sure where the awareness is coming in. My question is the awareness coming in because of um, being very deliberate in paying attention to everything I say, what I do, thinking about my actions and
Yes.
words before I say them? Is that considered awareness or is that
Yes.
deliberateness?
Yes. It's both. It's both.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now I don't want to make it harder than what it is because it's not. I'm just trying to understand it is
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Deliberateness is awareness. Okay. Um, shift in focus, where I'm putting my attention.
I mean, deliberateness. You can have awareness without deliberateness. You see in many animals, right? Dogs. But you
Uh-huh.
take Lou. There's a more deliberateness to Lou's awareness. Yes,
Yes, there is.
and that's huge.
There
I
is.
mean, you see the difference. Right? She's not just kind of more or less aware of stuff around her. Smells and sounds. She's deliberately paying attention. Yes.
She is because like the other day yesterday when we were having a conversation with one of my friends who was here, and it was oh animated in a way, you know.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
Lou did not know how to, and CJ was involved in it too. And so Lou did not know how to interpret
Ah,
CJ's being excited. My friend or mine, she was kind of struggling. So she was a little bit confused. Like, wait a minute, your voices are louder. You're waving your hands. And to her, that was trouble before. So now she was trying to figure out, was this happy trouble or was this like, you know, something she
Ah,
needed to be concerned about. So she came
yeah.
over and she inserted herself in between all three of us, trying to
Fascinating. Wow.
trying to trying to basically get each one of us our attention to say, hey, is everything okay here? And when I
Yeah.
reassured her that, yeah, we're happy, we're fine, and gave her hugs,
Oh,
CJ did the
shame.
same thing too. Then she went over and laid down. She was like, oh, okay,
Oh,
so that's a cool happy. So
yeah. Yeah.
um
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Lou is truly something special. It's too
very
incredible. Yeah.
mhm. I was pretty impressed. I We can learn a lot from her. I will say
Yes.
that.
Yes. She's
Um,
phenomenal.
just watching her, where her focus goes, she focuses in not so much on outside. I mean, sure, she's protective, but she focuses in more on what's going on with our energy. That's
Yeah.
different for me. I've never had a dog that did that before.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's really something. She is really, really something. But it's part of this bigger pattern of your life, which is this incredible magic that you have in your
Well,
life.
okay, so does that go back to the conversation from the other day? Because
Yes.
I mean, there's been a lot that's shifted just in the past.
Yes. Yes.
I don't even know how long. It's just been constant. It has been constant. Um, More so though, I'm not going to say it's more intense than it was before. Um, Maybe it's because I'm much more aware of it now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the key. The key is the awareness and the deliberate awareness, especially, right?
Deliberate awareness. Okay. I think so. What you making?
Say again.
What are you making?
Oh, I'm just filling up my sugar here.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
gonna have some cereal while we talk.
Oh, okay.
It sounds very noisy. Sorry.
Oh no,
Uh,
it's okay.
um, it's the focus where the attention goes. That capital A attention. This is a very big deal, and that's where the shift came from the other day. And you see how immediately things shifted and changed in a very profound way, right?
Yeah.
With the whole
Yeah.
gun incident.
Okay.
I mean,
So paying
the gun
attention
incident
to
is a massive gift.
then and that one hasn't left my mind. It really hasn't left his either.
Say again?
We've been really I said it hasn't left either one of our
Correct, correct. And it's not going
minds.
to for a long time. Yeah, it's a
It's
huge, huge, huge gift. I mean, one of the consequences of that is that he's not going to be able to really hang out with those kids now,
no,
right?
no,
Which
because
is also
he saw
a
firsthand.
fantastic bonus. And again, look at your intent for that. The problem got resolved in a most fantastic way. Yes.
Yeah,
And
it
also,
did.
it
Okay.
brought home consequence, integrity, conscience, regrets, things like that. Absolutely incredible.
Conscious. Um, I
Right?
see. I'm trying to think of all the different things that I've been paying attention to though with this. Um, Energy first and foremost. And when I consider energy is like the emotions, the 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 vibe, the feeling that comes off of emotions or feelings, however you want to call them. Um,
Right.
that energy that comes from the way a person stands, from their body language,
Yes.
their
Yes. Yes.
everything.
And,
Um,
and,
I
and,
can,
and I'm sure, sorry to interrupt you there, but a real key conception for this is you be paying attention to the energy. And when you said all those other things, it's really what you're
okay.
paying attention to is intent,
Intent.
right?
Okay. How does that fit into context? Or is the context the context is the subject or the theme of the situation, correct?
Uh, well, it could be. Sorry, I'm not sure how you made a jump to context now. But let's just go back
We'll get
to
there.
intent, and then we'll connect it to context. So
Okay.
when you paying attention to somebody's vibe, their body posture, body language, what they're saying, how they're saying it, what they mean beyond what they say, etc., right? Facial
Yeah.
expressions, all of it. The way to make it simple is to ask yourself, what is their intent? And then you kind of know what's going on very, very quickly, right?
Okay.
Rather than thinking, okay, what are they thinking? What are they saying? What do they mean? Just go right past that and say, what's the intent here?
Okay.
And then it all comes simple, very, very, very quickly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that might be something
So
good
that's
then.
what you were doing without necessarily specifically being aware that that's precisely what you were doing. Yes.
Right.
Weren't you paying
Right.
attention to the intent?
Well,
Now,
yeah.
most people do this, but they don't put that connection of the specific concept with it, and that makes all the difference to do that.
See, I don't know if I was. You see, that's the thing, though. I mean, there's so many different things to be aware of in a day that
Yes. Yes.
I know that our mind has the capacity for us to pay attention, on a subconscious level to everything, all these different things at once.
Yes.
But to be consciously aware of something, I feel like most times that I can be aware of one thing at a time.
Exactly. We are.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem then, right?
Hmm.
Because here all this time I'm thinking, God, there's so many things to pay attention to all at the same time. I can't do it all. Well, okay, it's good to know that that's all we can do is one thing at a time.
Right.
That
Right.
explains why they say we can't multitask. Okay. Yeah, we can be aware that there's, like the pot is boiling at the same time. We've got bread in the oven baking, but
Correct.
physically we can only do one thing at a time. So, okay.
Correct. But also our awareness doesn't really do two things at once. It just shifts between multiple things very quickly. Same as your computer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. Can only be one thing.
Right.
All right. That does make a lot more sense to me.
Right.
Yeah. Where
Now,
did I get okay, I was going to say, where did I get context from that? I made that jump because I think I understand context, but I do feel that I've only got a vague, a surface understanding of it. I don't think I really understand it on a deeper level.
Think of context as environment.
Okay, yeah, that's why I said it's like the subject or the theme.
Right.
It would be like, yeah, that makes sense. The environment of what's going on. Me and my environment.
Exactly. Now, context. Well, my best example for context is after you wash the dishes and the water's draining out, right? And you had lots of soap in your thing, and then once it's finished, you get that you get a bit of air that comes up out of the drain, right?
Yeah.
And then it makes those bubbles, right? Those bubbles on the drain, and those bubbles, there's like a whole bunch of bubbles on top of bubbles, typically, right? Doesn't just make one bubble on the drain, on the sink drain.
Okay.
Right? You know what I'm talking about when it's like all those little bubbles on top of bubbles? That's context.
Yes. Okay.
Because when we think of context, it's not just your immediate environment. Yes, that's the context you're in. But context as a concept means that that's only one of many. So it's very important to realize whenever you're thinking of context, it's more than what you are immediately aware of. Right? There's other context. Yes?
Yes. Okay. Then what
So it's bubbles within bubbles, bubbles on top of bubbles, bubbles alongside bubbles. Each bubble is a particular context, but context as a whole is the entire bubble, the entire conglomeration of bubbles, I should say, right?
Right. Okay. I get that now.
And this is why context is so powerful, because it's not an obvious immediate thing. When we say our environment, well, sure, our environment, what does that mean? Well, my
Yeah.
environment could mean, the weather. It could mean
Right.
my furniture, right? It could mean
Right.
my heating, cooling. It could mean my internal environment, my digestive system, my breathing, whatever. I mean, you see what I mean? Context,
Yeah.
many, many, many
Yeah.
different contexts. Right?
Okay.
So different bubbles give different reactions, different meanings, different implications. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So what I'm paying attention to then in my environment, that's what's going to, is that what's going to shift my energy?
Correct. Correct. And the particular environment that you happen to connect to or choose to or shift to changes meaning and can shift your entire reality very quickly.
Okay. Can you say that again? So what I'm focused on?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Can shift my entire
Right. So,
reality.
right. Contextual connection changes everything. Right.
Okay, that's where I got stuck the other day. Okay.
Right. Well, think of it
We
in
talked
when we
about,
were saying just purely environment, right?
yeah.
When you start
Well, because we,
focusing on your digestive environment, your stomach may be a bit bothered, and well, now suddenly I feel crap. I focus on the weather environment, and oh, it's wonderful outside. Well, now I shift to feeling happy again. I shift to the temperature environment. Well, okay, it's pleasantly warm inside here, but it's very dry because the heat has sucked out all the moisture. Now it's complicated. See, so
okay,
everything changes
okay.
depending on how
So
you look at it. Yeah,
like when I'm watching the news, that affects my reality. If I'm watching the
exactly,
news, I mean, it can pull my mood down in minutes. So I choose not to listen unless it's
exactly,
absolutely necessary.
exactly. Right. And also, the news, especially, is a marvelous example of abused context
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the news takes the worst in the world and presents it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, okay, so little Timmy's fallen down the well, or little Abdul in the middle of God knows, ass fuck beyond the world. Okay, now the whole world stops and watches, and everybody got to dig a well next door. Meanwhile,
Uh-huh.
in all the area around the country, there's 100 little kids dying of starvation.
Yeah.
What the fuck,
Yeah.
people? You're getting all see context. So,
Okay.
so the news is a narrowing. It's a very artificial narrowing, focusing of context, and a very purposeful ignoring of the greater context. Right?
Yeah, because there are very few sites dedicated to what they call happy news. I had to go deliberately looking for it one year. I remember that. I was like, there's got to be something positive
Yep.
happening in the world.
Yep. Yep.
And so when I typed in good news, then Google showed me two websites. That was it. That was maybe like
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago, where it was nothing but good news articles about, hey, this person did this and this person did that. And oh, wow, look at little Johnny here. He won this
Yeah.
award, for being a philanthropist at the age of 9 or something, you know. Um, so it's, and none of them, I wasn't looking for a false positivity at that point. I was just looking for, there's got to be something good in the world because I was so sick and tired of hearing all the crud
Right.
coming out of the news. And then I decided, I don't know, last year, sometime or another, that I wasn't going to listen to the news anymore.
I had this idea for a positive news newspaper when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
I never saw it, and then I mentioned this idea to one of my employees. And well, about a decade later, because I know them on Facebook as well, they sent me an article or a clip or a link to a newspaper that had started, that was called Positive News, the name of the newspaper that I thought to call it. It took a couple of decades, but it got there. Now, at least my idea was particularly context shifting. 9/11, my headline in 9/11 in my positive newspaper would have been 50,000 people survive! Exclamation.
Yeah, there you go.
Think of the consequence of that, right? You remember
Yeah,
that incident. I mean, everybody remembers 9/11, right? But think of that
yeah,
incident when, if you had been a small child. Oh my God, the
yeah,
world is, and you can't
yeah.
fly in aeroplanes, and if you go in a tall building, the plane might fly in and crash, and then you're all dead, and
I
because that's the
hated the way they
implication from
handled
that
that.
headline, right? That,
They
like,
did.
everybody's dying. But
It
the moment you
spewed
say to me,
hate.
well, 50,000 people survived, well, so the terrorists basically failed,
See, and it's
right?
spewed hate, and that's another way of looking at it too, though. I mean, when it comes to survivors, like think about domestic violence and sexual assault. Okay,
Exactly,
the statistics are 1 in 3 women and 1 out of every 6 men will be affected by domestic violence or sexual assault. Okay, that's the current stats.
right, right,
So
right, right.
that's pretty grim. So what if we
Yes,
reversed? So what if that was reversed? How many to show that yes, there is some progress. Not that
exactly,
it's getting worse. So how do
exactly,
you write those numbers to show progress? If it's one out of
exactly.
every
Now,
three,
when you say,
I don't know how to write that
uh,
number.
right, right. I mean, it's a huge way to shift this. Okay, a better example is, the news shows you the stakeout, right? SWAT team, and they found some criminal and they looking at his house, right? Now you're all focused on the
Right.
criminal and the bad people. All you
Uh-huh.
got to do is you take that helicopter shot and zoom out a little bit and say, put an X on that house, or a B, and say, okay, bad guy, and you put a G on the house next door to it, and the house behind it, and the house on the other side, and you keep on putting G's. Good people, good people, good, 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 and all of a sudden you got one X, one B, in a whole bunch of G's. See,
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
People always forget this, and this focus on negativity. It's because they don't understand statistics, right? So to me, statistics are quite holy, because when you say people are affected, what does it mean affected? I don't have
Yeah.
direct abuse in my life, personally. But I,
Right.
I I know people who have it. So yeah, it affects me. But is it really in my life? No, it isn't. So it's a very low, it's a poor statistical evidence. When you say, oh, people who are directly affected, now it's a whole different deal, right? So
Right.
it's like saying I'm affected by poverty, or by hunger. No, I'm not personally affected by hunger, but I'm very affected when I see reports of hunger, and I know it's out there. But when you look at
Right.
it on the whole, though, the majority of the world's population don't suffer from hunger. The majority of people don't suffer from stuff. Now, there are some stuff that the majority do suffer from, like
Right.
dominance and hierarchy and crap like that. But when we
Right.
take the statistics in it, the percentages, in other words, it changes everything, right? So, and that's what that headline, 3,000 people killed was the headlines, or some
Right.
of them,
Right.
as opposed to 50,000 survived. No conception of the statistic. Again, even the 50,000 survived. Well, there may have been 5 million people involved. And then it's
Right.
like, big deal. So if you don't have context, you lose an appreciation for what's going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the magic of context is not only to look at the thing where your attention is drawn, but to look at everything around it. So, like those bubbles in the sink, yeah, you
Uh-huh.
want to be
Uh-huh.
seeing all the bubbles. Now, I mean, you have to zoom into this. I mean, I wish I had a giant thing where you like have bubbles all around you, and you don't
Oh, it's
see
okay.
that. You're just seeing one bubble, but there's a
Yeah.
bubble on top of the bubble. We want to develop our mind so that we can zoom out of our bubble and see the associated bubble next door to it, and the bubble on top of that, and all that's layered, those compacted bubbles on top of bubbles, packed all around each other. This
Right.
is very cool, and it's not just like nested bubbles, like the Russian dolls. That's not how the bubbles are. You see, like on your sink, right? Some are inside
Uh-huh.
others, but some are next to, aside, on top. We need to consider all of those, because it changes the meaning of things. It changes our reality profoundly. to be able to see things from multiple contexts. Our reality shifts.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Look, yeah, go ahead.
oh no. So what I was going to ask is if, so in this situation where I asked the question about, I'm trying to figure out what, basically what worked the most or what has been working, or so if I'm putting together the awareness, no, if I'm saying it, shoot, where am I going with this? Okay. Trying to see this big picture because there's context in the background,
Right.
right? But I'm standing in the middle of that. So there's context, but I'm aware of the context that's around me. So that's the first step is I need to be aware of what's going on around me.
Yeah.
Reading that would be reading the intent, asking what's
Yes.
in this
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And also to be aware that the same bubble can be perceived differently depending on the context of our perception.
Okay. That's there
It's
it
very
is right there.
profound. It's very
Yeah.
profound, right?
Okay.
So, if I'm irritated, the world is irritating. Is it actually irritating? No, it's not. It's not actually irritating, but it's because I'm in a bad mood. Now suddenly everything is bad and terrible and the world is ugly and horrible and full of shit and everything. The world is the same world it was yesterday when I woke up in a good mood. Same world, right? So our internal context affects the perception of our external context.
Okay. All
It's
right.
not just mood, it's attitude, mindset, belief, especially, is profoundly affecting when it comes to our internal context, right? Our emotional and psychological. For instance, confirmation bias. Well, the black guy comes into the station, or he's on the scene of a crime. Well, it must be him because, well, he's black.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you find the evidence to support this theory. Confirmation bias is, this is the classical example of confirmation bias, but it happens in so many other ways. And you see this with queuing, and especially with parents, teachers, and authority figures. What they believe a person is makes and affects that person to a great extent, and they can become what people believe they are, not that they are inherently this or not, right?
Okay. All right. Now it's starting to pull together just a little bit. So if I were to repeat my understanding so far, just the my awareness, if I'm aware of the context of my environment, my energy, basically the whole situation and what I'm feeling internally, knowing that it's going to affect the external because of my perception, right? That's all also based on my beliefs, which those are things that I do have control over to change. So if I change my beliefs and shift those from, like, say, let's take the situation between CJ and I, that, oh, it's horrible, it's miserable, it's never going to get any better, I don't have the capability. If I had stayed in a mindset like that, which I never was, but if I stayed in that mindset, it never would have gotten better.
It would have been a self-fulfilling prophecy. Exactly. It would have been horrible.
Right.
Now
so
we
instead,
see. Yeah.
So instead, I kept looking and saying, there will be a resolution. There will be an answer. I don't know when, but there will be.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Because
be aware.
Right. Because despite his behavior, CJ inherently is a very, very good person. Doesn't know how to deal with his goodness. Yeah. It overwhelms him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Very much so. Very much so. Well, because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand that feeling icky either.
Correct.
And that's something that he's going to be getting worked with through, his counselor and just his everyday living,
Wonderful. All right. So now, I'm sure when we take this and we say, my internal contexts, which are my beliefs, my feelings, my mindsets, my attitudes, my ideas, my confidence, my arrogance, my all of this stuff, right? Affects my interaction with my external contexts. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So there's a very definite relationship, and especially in personal
Yes.
relationships, these can be very profoundly affecting. I mean, you have greater degrees of influence, right, depending on situation. Right. So it's not always the same
Right.
amount of influence. But my point that I want to get is, you were saying earlier, and I really want to emphasize, this is a very, very important point, that we can't do multiple things at once, but we can leverage that to say, okay, when I say internal context and I say feelings, moods, emotions, ideas, that whole long list I made, if I put all of those into one concept, which is deliberate living, see? So,
Okay.
for
Say
instance,
that
like
again.
where you were saying you had the what was it? You had the bread in the oven and you had the hot plate on the stove, the sauce and whatnot. All right, you had
Yeah.
multiple things
Yeah.
going on, but
Uh-huh.
you are doing one thing, which is cooking. The cooking splits up into separate parts. See?
Okay.
So we can leverage our brains one thing to be able to do multiple things while doing one thing. See, it's how you
Okay.
conceive of it. In other words, if you think I've got something in the oven, I'm baking and I'm cooking, on the stove, and well, those are three separate things now. But if you put them all together as cooking, well, no problem. See,
Okay.
because cooking
Okay.
as cooking implies simultaneity.
Yes, it does.
That,
It
that
really does.
this is the heart of cooking. Is good chefs are excellent time and awareness and attention managers. Yes,
See, I was
you have
trying to figure out, yes, yeah, I was trying to figure out though how, uh,
right.
I do believe that it like cooking is meditation, washing dishes. I believe that. I
Correct,
really do, but I
correct,
was trying to
correct,
figure out
correct, correct.
how.
But stick with me, because this is a very important
I
point
am.
I'm making here, right? So this is our dictionary of power, that we constantly want to be looking at the things that we need to do, pay attention, this and all of those, and we constantly want to be putting them into a pyramid, right? So that we can have one thing that's got multiple parts underneath it, like cooking. See?
Okay.
So
All right.
when we said now context management, which is perception management, which is awareness management, which is attention management, you can put all of those under a heading of paying attention to intent or under deliberate living. Because when you living deliberately, you paying attention to where your awareness is going, your attention is going, to your moods, your attitudes, your beliefs, your ideas, your feelings. And in your particular case, right, you're also going to be paying attention to how you are emoting, part of your
Yes.
deliberate
Okay.
living, right?
Okay.
Which is an
Yes.
awareness that you haven't necessarily had specifically to say, oh, you know what? I just was kind of showing whatever, and I didn't think specifically to pay attention to how and what precisely I do share and show, right? So to
Okay.
manage it, to be deliberate about it. But now when you put
Okay.
this under deliberate living, it goes hand in hand. You can do the internal managing your emotions, plus you can be deliberately managing where your attention is going, where your awareness is going, where your energy is going, your intent is, what your intent is, etc., etc. See,
Okay.
so we
Okay.
get this hierarchy, in other words, a nested, but a good hierarchy, right? A pyramid, a nesting, where you're taking multiple concepts, you merge them together, and you make a mega concept. Then you get a bunch of mega concepts, you merge those together, you get a greater, even more mega concept, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very
Okay.
key. This is what the dictionary of power is. It is a mechanism for nesting and putting together multiple concepts, perceptions, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, etc., all together so that you got one thing to do. In the end, there's only one word you need to remember. That's appropriateness.
Impeccability. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, same thing. Impeccability, appropriateness, same thing. So yes, impeccability,
Okay.
appropriateness, same thing, right? I mean, there is no real synonym. If you look in the dictionary, a synonym for appropriateness, you don't really have it. They might say proper, but that's incorrect.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
impeccability is really a synonym for appropriateness, right? Now, impeccability is very specific in that it takes you a little further, because you might be appropriate, but again, there's bonus things that you can do that you don't have to do that are appropriate, but that add a lot. And that's why impeccability is the focus, rather, it's way of impeccability rather than way of appropriateness, right? Because it's those bonus additional things that we do that make a difference, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
exactly. I mean, this is, and when we understand this, now to say, okay, what is my impeccability entail, and what's the next layer? All right, deliberate living, clarity of intent, and so on. And then you say, okay, underneath clarity of intent and deliberate living, what's underneath those? And so you keep making these, those
Okay.
tree branches, right? And it's very
Okay.
powerful, very, very powerful. Very,
So every
like
one of those entries.
like my diagram, right? That whole mind map.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But every one of those entries in my dictionary of power is like its
correct.
own little nest or
Tree.
bubble or
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, what you want to do with your entries is to take because like I said, each of your entries is a very core concept that has multiple little ones underneath it, right? So you can
Right.
think of your entries as branches, right?
Okay.
Containing, smaller branches, twigs, and then leaves, of course, and stuff like that. But you want to take those branches and put them into a major, huge, big branch, and then take those big branches and connect them to a trunk. See, and
Yes.
then
Okay.
your trunk would be your core, your root would be
Ah,
impeccability, appropriateness, right?
well,
So
there's the
this is
tree of life.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Is very, very, very powerful to do this. Now, some of those key conceptions, they have overlap, like intent, impeccability, awareness. Where does intent fit into that? You see, yes, uh, it's an awareness that is appropriate, but you need to be aware of intent before you can use it as appropriate, and before
Those are
you
the
can have
leaves.
impeccable intent. You see, so they have a relationship, and it gets a little bit more complex, but as you go along and you think about these things and you integrate them, you start to know how they connect. Like, you don't, when you're cooking, for instance, and you're making a meal for like a bunch of people, you don't have to think about a lot of stuff. You do it innately and automatically. You put something on that has to get to the boil, and while it's boiling, you chop stuff. It's just duh. You don't wait until it's
Yeah.
boiled and then start chopping. It's like, that will be dumb, right? So
Right. Right.
these
Right.
things. You're not consciously thinking that to do that, right? So
Yeah.
this is the same when you start to have those terms that, all these concepts and the nested concepts and the more inclusive concepts like appropriateness and intent and
Uh-huh.
impeccability. Those have a lot. Everything is packed into those, right? They the pyramid tips, but we can have a
Yes.
couple of different pyramids, right? But they start to connect and interact with each other in a very profound way. Now, actually, I think I will pull up that mind map because it's very pertinent to what we're talking about,
Okay. Yeah,
and
that's
there's a
fine.
very big deal involved here. Well, I want to get back to this, the core concept, a huge, massive core concept here, that this week your whole world changed, as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
right? With
It
that gun
did. It
incident,
did.
right? Everything shifted and changed. Now, of course, you may not experience the direct benefits immediately because of, well, habit. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've gotten short-term habits and they take a while to work out, right? So
Yeah.
ask next time you get that, bit of anger, resentment, annoyance, irritation, whatever, right? When the negative,
Uh-huh.
ask, is this something that is chosen or is it habit?
Have it.
Just ask. And not you. I'm saying ask CJ.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and
Oh,
you and yourself too. But you see my point now, because when you
yeah.
ask him, is this? Did you choose this deliberately? Is this your choice, or is it just coming from habit?
So bringing his awareness to it. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Because the moment he starts to, well, fuck, well, yeah, it's kind of just habit. I didn't really think about it. Now, nobody likes that idea. You didn't like it a moment ago, right? When you thought it was what I was talking about you. You didn't like the
Yeah.
idea that a
Yeah.
lot of your crap comes from just habit. It's like, man, fuck,
Right.
it's a very, very unflattering, unfriendly,
It is.
unhappy thought, right? We feel like we're being like, well, we just feel like shits in a way, right? It's not a very good thought. Yeah, am I right? So
yes,
so remember that, and now you can utilize it on CJ. We don't want to be victims of habit, because that's really what you are. You're a victim. You're a mindless sod that's just being affected by habit. No, hell with that. Sorry. No, no, no. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So very, very, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful.
There's,
Uh,
I was going to say, there's been a couple of times when I have just asked him, it's like, so where did that come from? I don't know. I
right,
just do
right,
it.
right. But that's a difficult question, because you may not have the answer. So,
No, and he
I like,
doesn't, and I know he doesn't.
yeah,
I know
right,
he doesn't, but
right. The
I
multiple
wanted him
choice
to
is
like,
more effective. Yeah.
but I just wanted him to like basically,
Think
give it
about it. Yeah.
to just be aware of, oh wow, I just did that and I didn't know I do that. Um,
Exactly.
there's
Exactly.
okay,
To
before
be
it was
aware of
pointed out to
mindlessness, in other words.
yeah, but before
Yeah.
it was pointed out to him, he didn't recognize, even though
Yeah.
I've told him multiple times,
Yeah.
please stop
Yeah.
doing this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
He has this
Yeah.
thing where he'll flap his hands, his arms, he'll jump, he'll spin, he'll just blurt things out.
Yeah.
And I've been watching to see whether or not it was habit or is there something that
Yeah.
precedes this. And
Yeah.
it's always been something precedes it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
anyway, and when the doctor was talking to him about it too, they're like, well, do you think it's interesting that you mentioned that question? Because they're like, well, do you think that you're aware when you're doing this? He's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when he
Yeah.
got to thinking
Yeah.
about it, then he started thinking of all the other little, like, what do you call it,
Right.
nervous tics or
Right.
something that he
Right.
has.
Right. Now look
Yeah.
at the difference between that question and the specific question that I asked you. Did you do
Yeah.
it because you chose it? See, aware is a very tricky word, because it's hard to grasp what it is. But choose, we know choose, right? This is my own agency, me, I'm in control now. And always it's just habit.
Right.
You're throwing in the just there, which gives it a flavor. Okay, it's a little bit of manipulation, but okay, right? But now it's very clear, though, that by implication, if it's habit or did you choose it, that you can choose it, and that you didn't.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of consequence to this, but the main point I want to make here is, in this particular case, if you listen to what the doctor said, were you aware? Aware is so tricky, is so nebulous, especially when even we struggle with this. We've been dealing with it a long time. It's still a tricky word. So I prefer
Yeah.
choice in this case, because choice is something you can act on, you can apply. It's direct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to look at this now, obviously this is it's complex here, but this is the idea of this mind map, is to take the complexity and make it simple. So don't worry about
Right.
all the things we're seeing, just focus on the main colors now. So we have appropriateness, and we say, okay, from appropriateness, where do we go from here? Right? How is it that we can leverage our appropriateness? So we have, in terms of the biggest ones here, right, in terms of the colors now, right, the size of the squares, we've got awareness and attunement. Now, you would think those
Yeah.
two kind of need to go together, but no, not so. Because you have awareness, and you can be very aware and live in your world very aware, but not necessarily live in attunement, correct?
Right. Right.
Right. So the awareness is a local, the attunement is universal or global, right? So that's the difference. Yes. So we want to take our awareness and apply it in a greater context. See, when we have awareness that's only local, right? Just ourselves, our doing, our world, like most people. I mean, you can have very aware people who don't live in attunement, right? So
Okay.
we need to
Okay.
take this. That's why they separate, right? Because they don't. Awareness doesn't automatically lead to attunement. That's the
Right.
point I'm
Got
making,
it.
right? It's a
Okay.
concept that brings out an additional context, which is transformative. Yes. All right.
Okay.
Now you see what the link is between the two. See, intent, big link. Perspective
Yeah.
shifting. See? Links again. Now the software didn't allow the arrows to go both ways, but they really should, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so just assume all these arrows are both ways. But you see how it all connects now. See, And then from intent we go. And of course, your attunement, they link back to application and awareness. They both meet in application. It's no point in your awareness and not being used. And the same thing with your attunement. If your attunement doesn't lead to application, it's a waste of time, right? And the same thing with the perspective shifting. You see, it goes all the way through here. Now, forget, so this is, perspective shifting probably comes in lower down somewhere else as well. But we want this overall as a top level point, that we want things to make sense, right? And the grand scheme meaning of life. So this is sort of going upward. But when we go, in a more sort of, spiritual way or overall idea concept, which is sort of, the opposite of application, but it needs to be connected to application, as you can see, right? And so this is very important. So I'm showing how these things are different contexts. And then, of course, in the context of awareness, you've got attention, appreciation, and the abstract, right? So, and just by the way, if you look at this, right, you'll see there's an A term and it's got 3 A terms. Attunement, you've got alignment, anomalies, acting as agenda, another little 3 A terms, right? You've got appropriateness, that has underneath it attunement, awareness, application, 3 A terms again. I don't know, it just gives me joy. Just me and my fun. And then, with application here, you've got accountability, authenticity, that. So so I just like this understanding of, just the A terms. You see how they come in, but you see a context, a little mini context. You see attention, training the brain, self-quoting, appreciation, joy, grace. See all of these little mini contexts, right? Little mini contexts apply to it. But you see how we're doing this nesting. See, now this is a complex nesting. I mean, you could have built this out, where you have 1 and then you go 2 and then you split it, and it'll be very wide, in other words, right? And wide and deep, it will be a big thing. But I like this because I can see the context, and also you have stuff that connect it, like this, conscious and deliberate, right? Our awareness needs to be conscious and deliberate. Attunement is all about symbolism and metaphor. Yeah.
Why? Right? Well, I understand. Okay. No, I get it. Symbolism and metaphor. Okay.
Yeah. Well, because the universe can't tell you directly. That's why.
Right. No, I had to shift.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it takes me a second.
Yeah. So, now we have this and we say, okay, application. Now let's get into the details of what application is. Well, first you need to sort your self-conception, right? Because that gives you strategic self-leverage and your dictionary of power. Your dictionary of power, by the way, see, you would think the dictionary of power would have a much bigger point here, but it's a subset. The dictionary of power are the building blocks. It's the foundation of your self-conception. So if you take your dictionary of power and you say, I am, you have your dictionary of power handy?
Do I have it handy? It takes me a few minutes to pull it up.
Okay. Right. So well, you can do it as an exercise, right? And just take your dictionary of power and write it out in and put I am in front of it and see how much that connection applies. Now, of course, you're gonna have to change the words, the tense of it, right? To say, I am impeccability. Okay, you can say that, but you can say I am impeccable. See, I am deliberate, right? So we've got deliberateness is the concept. I am deliberate, right? Or deliberately, those are the application terms, right? But the concept has a noun form to it, a conception form, right? So it's very important to have that difference, right? You want to have this understanding of the overall and then how it applies. But if you put I am in front of all those terms, you're going to see, awareness is the concept. I am aware. Okay, how much? And then you can kind of say, well, of course, I want to be more aware. And it's like, man, I've still got a lot of habits that are messing me up. So I really need to work on my awareness. I'm a little bit behind there. See? So you see what I'm getting at? When you put I am in front of this, very powerful exercise, ridiculously powerful. But what I'm also trying to make a point about here is that the dictionary of power, as powerful it is, I mean, the whole thing is a dictionary of power, of course, but it's a subset of your self-conception. Yeah. So when I look at this here, I want to say that all of this feeds into the self-conception. And you see the self-conception is kind of like a bottleneck as well, like application is, right? And it's very close to. right? Because all of these things feed the self-conception. Yeah.
Okay.
Really, this term self-conception, or the square, it should actually be a
It's
lot
everything
bigger.
above it.
It should be
Yeah,
the
it should
size
be.
of these here now. It just the way the software works. So
Yeah.
but it's all feeding into the self-conception, because your self-conception needs to include, I am or let's say, a spirit warrior. What does a spirit warrior involve? What does it entail? Well, a spirit warrior is always appropriate. Like right? A spirit warrior is
Right.
perspective shifting. A spirit warrior, life and the universe and the world and everything makes sense to a spirit warrior. And they
Right.
persistently looking to make more sense. But life makes sense to them, right? And they're aware and they live in attunement. See? And of course,
Right.
they connected to intent. They have clarity of intent. They have intent. They use intent, and of course, they're impeccable. So, and they apply. You see how this whole pyramid here is subservient and feeds into self-conception.
Right.
Yeah, like I said,
You
it
know,
should be a bigger size there. But anyway,
the
so
very first,
you see the power of this now, right? It's too
yeah,
fantastic, right? It's too fantastic how this all works. Now we go from self-conception and we say, what is the core of our self-conception? Now, yes,
character.
we've got these here, which you could put all of these. I didn't have enough ways to, like, you couldn't write in the middle here, but this whole pyramid here is conceptions, right?
Right.
Conceptionality, right? So on
Right.
the one hand, we fed by conceptionality, and on the other hand, on the other side is character. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Feeding into self-conception. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Right. So now we know
Yeah.
you can have character, like you can be very disciplined, you can be very honest, but if you don't have appropriate conceptionality, that can all be not only wasted, you can have fantastic inappropriate application of goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So this is very, very potent. This is very, very potent, right? So when we see how this works together, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And it's very important to have those conceptions, because, like I said, if you don't have, things like attunement, and specifically to understand the difference between awareness and attention, to understand the abstract. Abstract is huge, right? And all these different conceptions, anomalies, you don't know what they are. You can't use them. Acting without agenda is absolutely crucial to attunement, right? It's very, very key. Same with the
Yes.
abstract or awareness. The abstract, context, it's an abstract understanding. If you don't have it, you aren't able to abstract. Forget it. You're just going to get stuck in the detail of application, and you get lost, right? That's why
Right. Okay.
application, it doesn't start at the top with application, right? Application needs
Right.
to be served by these conceptionalities, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you just you like so they learn to drive a Ford instead of a car. That's when you get like ridiculous application of detailed application, right? Without conception,
Right.
without. So this is very
Right.
key conception, right? It's absolutely critical. So
Yeah.
obviously all of these are concepts. Everything here is a concept, but that's why it's self-conception, not
Uh-huh.
self-description.
Right.
The
Yeah.
difference
Yeah.
between self-conception and self-description it's a world. It's huge, right? And the
Oh
descriptions are
yeah.
limited, narrow, detailed, and they hold you back. It's terrible. And everybody always
Uh-huh.
tries so hard. I'm a this, I'm a that, and they don't realize they're doing the worst thing they could possibly do. They're boxing
They're
themselves.
limiting themselves.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But a concept is, by its very definition and nature, it's open. Correct?
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
growing, it's
It is.
living, it's always evolving. Awareness and attunement. Who can say what awareness is?
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's very
Nobody.
interesting
Nobody.
in academia. They put a total kibosh on studying consciousness, right?
Why?
But because they said it's impossible to define it. So it's like a whole waste of time. So and there's one guy, he was in Stanford, and he wanted to study consciousness, but he couldn't because there was no funding, and it was a negative thing. And if you did this, you were like shunned and put out. Academia is a whole ridiculous nonsense business. But anyway, so he found a workaround. He started studying conscious dreaming, lucid dreaming. Well, he called it lucid dreaming, not conscious dreaming. But he's studying consciousness. That was his way around it. Anyway, just so it's fascinating how my point is that it's flexible, it's fluid, it's adaptable, it changes.
Right. Right.
Concepts are, they fluid, they grow. Now we come to all the details of character, right? And we get
Uh-huh.
ways of being, ways of living, and we get all this these particular things, which once you understand unbending intent, you don't have to remember it. Once you understand it, it's
Right.
automatic, it's in you. Same thing, it's evolutionary. Well, duh. And these are all overviews now, right? You see, they're all like really big points: ethical
Right.
responsibility. Now, the key why something like this is valuable, because when you see ethical responsibility, you say, wow, I never thought of ethical responsibility before. Yes, I thought about being ethical, but not ethical responsibility as a concept. Now that I think about it, well, it's kind of duh. And once you
Uh-huh.
grasp the duh, do you need to think about it again? No, it's in you. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't always think like universal input. Yeah, we don't
Uh-huh.
always think and recognize universal input. So all of these are detailed things, which again, you want to spend time on them. You figure out what it means, what's involved, and once you understand it and you know it, like thinking things through there. Once you know what it is, you'll use it automatically. Why? Because we are governed by appropriateness. So
Yeah.
think of your robot, right? That you're trying to program. If
Uh-huh.
you program it like most people try to do, and they envisage a situation and they say, well, okay, if this happens, then you do this, and then they have those branching trees, right? If then else, yes, you know what I'm saying, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
but if they just said be appropriate, well, okay, now the robot has to say, well, what is the context? There's context over here, right? See, and what are the goals, right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you determine appropriateness. Now, of course, how to determine the goals, how to determine the context, that's a little bit more tricky, but still, it can be done. You got a very, very simple program. You're starting from the other end rather than trying to predict each eventuality and provide a response. Forget it. You're
Yeah.
wasting your time. Whereas, and again, for the robot, this is very obvious, does not work. This is why you don't see robots around. But we don't have to do that. And people do try, unfortunately. They want a rule for everything. Doesn't work.
Uh-huh.
You got
I
one
know.
rule
I know.
to rule them all. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
appropriateness.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that, now it really makes sense. And of course, if you've got to your when I'm saying all of these things in the green here, right? They're all going to happen automatically. Why? Because you got good character. See?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, personal power. Well, how am I going to be if I've got ethics, if I'm being ethical, if I'm being impeccable, if I'm looking at the overall situation? How can I abuse my personal power? It's not possible. See?
Yep.
So it all works.
Yep.
That's why your appropriateness makes you use these things automatically as the situation and the circumstance warrant. All you have to
Uh-huh.
do is take any of these contexts, these particulars here, concepts, and
Right.
understand fully, really, really understand it to the point of duh, right? And then you also practice it a bit, specifically. You go around for a day or two, and you pay attention to universal input, so that you have it in you, as a mastered resource, right? You've gotten it, you've
Yeah.
self-proven it to yourself, you own it. Once you own it, it's there, because your overall computer brain is saying, I need what's appropriate. It's going to spin the hard drive and suck from it whatever from these things it's needed. Yes, because it's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to remember it. It will automatically come to the front, right? Through
Mm-hmm.
pertinence and relevance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we
Mm-hmm.
use all of this. So you have to trust pertinence and relevance to do this. So now we get right. So we first take care of our character, and then we can do specific practices, which is things like habit management, mood management, energy management, and the related managements, association management, and attention management, all of this other stuff. And of course, these are the things we continuously doing, and you get impeccability, consciousness, all of the stuff, right? And then you get strategy, which
Right.
is strategy is a bonus. That's why I keep emphasizing that if CJ starts to learn to understand strategy, he's going to shift everything, because once strategy comes into it, like those kids, I mean, they weren't very strategic in what they were doing, right? But then
No, no.
Strategy automatically takes in context and goals, appropriateness, right? That's why it's all the way down here. But this adds to your ability to have power, which is to take your
Right.
energy and be able to use it deliberately. And through that, we get to the more. So there's kind of a path here as well, right? Once we've got these, first you want to have, right, let's put it this way. Traditional self-improvement, like say with the Greeks or the Romans or whoever, right? Or it doesn't matter, any religion even. They take this top part and this is replaced by belief and worship.
Yeah.
Which belief says be obedient, and worship says we are now basically enshrining the superiority paradigm.
Yeah. I cannot say in religion that they would have any of this stuff, to be honest.
No, I understand, but I'm saying this whole top section here, all of this is replaced by belief and worship, right? Which both of those, the linking thing here like this would be obedience, right? You got belief, and that's it. You probably they'll put God here, and they'll put belief here, worship there, and the link between it would be obedience. That's it.
Right.
Right. Now, of course, in most religions, they do have character training. But of course, it's be obedient, be disciplined, all right, they have be kind, be humble, and all of this stuff. They have that too. But if you only have character training like this, yes, and it doesn't have those conceptions, it kind of goes nowhere, right? I mean, look at really good religious people. They become very conservative, and the Amish, they become very conservative and very narrow. Yes.
Yeah.
And very limited. And they end up with this peculiar, reverse upside down humility, which is an arrogance, really. It's all messed up. And they're hypocrites. And that's a terrible thing. Right. So they don't get to moreness because of that. So we have to understand that the core of this, somebody could just say, well, this is the core of it. This is the heart character. It's all. No. Character without moreness on the one hand to pull you, which is, via strategy too. You won't ever get to power, and you won't ever get to moreness without strategy. Right? And then when you look at the very top, though, you see the other very end that we're looking at is, makes sense, the grand scheme. See? So the moreness is part of the grand scheme of how it all makes sense. The meaning of life, or the meaning of living, when, life everywhere, or the meaning of the universe, you could say, right? So it all ties together. It's very profound, no? It's very interesting. I'm just looking at this here. I didn't see capital G gift here anywhere, right? So
I thought I did.
You did? Oh, good. Well, it should be on here, but it's always hard to put everything in. Magic, fluid reality, silent knowledge. I don't remember putting it in. That's why. Oh, you thought what?
For some reason, I thought I saw it up above.
At the top somewhere. Okay, let me go look.
No,
again.
I thought I saw it in the green.
Oh, in the green. That could be.
Why did I think that's where I saw it? It's really hard to read. I had to look super close, but
I can't make it any bigger. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I thought I saw it. All right, the way of being. Is it over there? Diplomacy. If gifts were going to be anywhere, you could put gift in multiple places.
Yeah, I know. I'm fairly sure it's not in here, just because I'm not remembering it, but it could be. But anyway, I think though that when you say it makes sense, though, it'll be under attunement, in some way, like
That's where I was thinking was attunement.
Yes, where I would add it. Because you see, it's missing here. You see, there's 3 there, and I really tried to have everything be balanced. Well, okay, I got 2 here and 2 here, 3
under anomalies. It would be under anomalies and
correct.
blue.
It would be a third. This light blue, it would be the third one here to say capital G gifts. Yeah. So, but this is a big deal, and when we understand, when things make sense in the grand scheme meaning of life, when we start to see how, I think gift, it would be something that connects these here, because the capital G gifts are connected from awareness via attention through attunement and anomalies. You see, so it's like like where intent is, you can almost have a capital G gifts. Yeah, actually, that would be the best place to put it, because capital G gifts are directly connected to intent. So this would be intent / gifts would be, yeah. Right. So, or
Okay.
just gift underneath it, because it's connected to attunement and awareness, attention. They all connected together, right? You need to be in alignment. You
Yeah.
need to have anomalies.
Wants to
You need
play.
to learn to act without agenda, and all of the stuff. It all connects. So it would go over here, right in the square with intent.
Yeah.
Gift. So capital G
Yeah.
gifts. But look at how it affects your life. Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
on Monday, we focused on attunement. Yes,
Uh-huh.
very
Uh-huh.
specifically, right? And it was a
Yeah.
very big point. Now, and also when we say with attunement, the point was also to be clear about your intent. And you
Yes.
were looking to satisfy your intent for resolution with yourself and yourself alone. That
Yeah.
was the big shift on Monday, is that we simply, where before you were completely and entirely focused on this year, right?
Right. Right.
Right. And maybe some of this year, and of course on appropriateness, intent, impeccability, but the attunement wasn't connected to it. When the moment we brought attunement in and connected it via intent to your awareness, your discipline, your appreciation, and of course your application, your character downward also, the moment we brought this into it, it popped the gift from your intent. Yes?
Right. Right.
And look at
Exactly.
how it did. First of all, it produced one of your core intents was for CJ to shift, CJ to
Uh-huh.
connect to his goodness. One
Yes.
intent
Yes.
satisfied. The second intent was him not to be with those gang kids. Yes?
Yeah.
Second
Yeah,
intent.
exactly.
Yes? A third intent was self-awareness, profound self-awareness, self-appreciation, feeling good about himself, profoundly necessary and important. Yes?
Uh-huh.
So when you look at the gift of that, it was a profound gift. But when you look at it relative to your intents, now it becomes mind-blowing and
Yeah.
becomes personal. See? So
Yes.
that's why gift here should be right there. See? Because it's
Yeah.
personal. And now you see the magic of it, how it starts to all make sense. You see? Via
Yeah.
attunement, awareness, intent is the thing. So, a gift is the application of intent. See? So we could put gift here too.
That's
But,
what I said.
it's
You
the
could put gift in
consequence of
multiple
this.
places.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. But I mean, you see what I
Gift.
mean? I mean, a gift is the universe taking your intent used via awareness and attunement, and then you get the gift, right? But without the
Yeah.
attunement, it's very hard to get the gifts. See?
Yeah.
The point I want to emphasize with this, why I brought it up in the first place, the capital G gift. And that's maybe why it's not specifically here. My subconscious was saying, well, it's going to be in so many different places that, well, you just
Uh-huh.
have to imply it, right? And because,
Right.
I haven't specifically put this, this is what we can do. We don't, I mean, the universe works via attunement, but it's how we use it. So the gift is an end result, which gets way down the bottom here. Actually, it's part of Moreness here, you see. So
Right.
the magic, which is the gift, I mean, you could put magic / gift, right? It's over there. I mean, it's a Moreness. That capital G gift is a
That's
Moreness. Right?
that's why I thought, because there's magic a couple of times in here.
Yes,
And
yes,
so that's where I was probably thinking in gift, because magic
yes.
to me is gifts. So yeah.
Absolutely. A capital G gift is magic given us by the universe, not given, but
Yeah.
brought to us, connected to us. That's what it is. It's a gift. It's magic. A capital G gift is magic, pure and simple.
Yeah.
And that's the point
Yeah.
I really want to emphasize, is how what happened isn't random.
Right. No, I
It's
know it's not. I was
yeah,
trying.
right?
Yeah. I was
In,
just trying to understand it.
Right, right. But I mean, when you understand it in the context as a gift of your intent, that's why that power story for me, that transformative power story is called the gift of intent. Yes, now the
Right.
gift of intent can be read in multiple ways, right? I mean, we can say, we can take it as intent being the gift, but you can also saying the gift of intent, which is intent does something and then creates a gift, right? See,
Right, right.
that's what you got, right? So the
Yeah,
gift of intent is exactly what you experienced. That whole gun incident was a gift of your intent. Yes. Now, here's the key
yeah.
point. You had all of the stuff, the awareness, the application, the character, the discipline, all this going into your intent, but it wasn't connected to outside. The moment that awareness said, oh, there is a way to resolve this that's beyond me. And now you cannot rely on that only because then you get like the people, oh, God will take care of it. And, they stand on the roof,
Uh-huh.
and they drown in the end, right? You know the
Right,
story. God
right.
said, and they get up to heaven and they say, well, why didn't you take the boat to the rescue, whatever? Well, you kept saying, oh, God's going to take care of us. Well, that's how I was taking care of you, slap, slap. It's like, come on, seriously,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we need to understand that attunement comes sort of, it almost needs to come last, because if you grasp attunement too soon, you forget about the awareness issues, and then you forget about the application and the character issues, right? So
True,
this is very
true.
important, that this is connected to this, and they all work together. You can't have one without the other.
Right,
So
right.
you see this, though, you were doing all of the attention stuff, you were doing all of this, the ways of being, the modesty, the eagerness, the earnestness, right, the unwanting, patience, discipline, forbearance, timing, will, right, resolve, deliberate, positive, ruthlessness, thoughtful, right, diligence, persistence, thoroughness, scruple. Weren't you doing all of this stuff?
Yes, yes,
Right. So those are
absolutely.
all ways of being, and then the ways of living. All of this motivation. Okay, that's a bit more fanciful, but still, it's the other side of it. The ways of living rather than ways of being. You are very focused on the
Right.
ways of being part, but you got to take that, put it into your self-conception, and say, oh, this is me. I have good character. I am a good person. Right. That was
Yes,
the self-trust issues, in other words, and the lack of self-doubt, right?
yes,
So this is
yes,
key. Your self-conception needs to be founded on, of course, humility and patience, but also on realness and acknowledging that. Well, I mean, let's just go through on the side here, ways of being, right?
none of us are perfect.
When we went through those were all yes, 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 right? Can they be more? Of course, they can be more, but they there.
Yeah,
Ethical, you humble, sobriety, self-honesty, sincerity, integrity. Yes, yes, yes. Choosing to believe, celebrating difference. Yes, yes, yes. And see, now can I do
yep,
more of this? Okay, like CJ, celebrate his difference more, right? Having more discernment,
yeah,
understanding, perspectives. Yeah.
yep,
So you see how the magic of this is too incredible. But my key point again is that this was missing somewhat, right? So
yeah.
let's look at this a little bit more carefully. We've got some really big points up top here. We've got the noble ideal, we've got the universal school, which we are in, right? Now, universal
Uh-huh.
school can be can have this can be also like you could have it make a little bit longer and go on this line and connect it to make sense. It can have its
Well,
own
it
line.
is if you look
Makes
at it. Well, hold on. If you look at it, to me it
right,
is
right.
because it's attached to attunement,
Right. It's
and
meant
attunement,
to touch like the fractal
yeah,
conceptions. See,
yeah,
it's
no,
meant
it's all connected.
right. Now, when you
Yeah.
move these things in the software that I made it, if I move this, then the other stuff also moves. It's
Uh-huh.
so it's very hard to get this to do that. So anyway, it's supposed to touch this line and go up through
Yeah.
perspective shifting to make sense. But
Well,
and then
no,
we
it
get
does.
slow magic. Now, this is very important, right? You get the stuff happen fairly quickly, but intent, and particularly when it's via attunement, is a slow magic. Sometimes it takes
Yes,
some
it is.
time to get into it, right? But the
And then you have
universe
to be
connection,
patient.
this is very important, and this is what I'm emphasizing, this part here, the universe connection. And then through alignment we have this adventure, artistry, aspirations. When you take it as a very profound kind of a big picture understanding of your intent, right? That you have an intent to
Okay.
adventure, you have an intent to artistry and aspiration. You need to align to those, though. Otherwise, you won't see them, right? And then acting
Okay.
without agenda. I mean, CJ, so why do you do this? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you take care of him? You could say, well, I care. But really, bottom line is that when we have the noble ideal and impeccability and appropriateness as part of us, and when we have attunement, and especially once we're aligned via anomalies, you see these now, I mean, those curves are going the wrong way. They should be kind of straight, but it doesn't matter. Just the way the thing worked out, right? So when we're in attunement and we've got anomalies and alignment, how do I not act without agenda? I've got all of the universe pressing on me with all of this wonderful, huge, great big stuff. I've got all of this stuff pressing on me, my impeccability, my character, everything, right? It presses on me to be in alignment, to pay attention to the anomalies. In other words, to go, follow a force of circumstance and to follow the anomalies, to take the tip or the suggestion or the start of the path that the anomalies are, right? How do I not act without agenda? Why is it so important? Because I can't always see where it's going.
Okay.
Because it's big picture, right? There's a slow magic involved. So when I get asked by the universe to do something, I do. Why do I do it? Because the universe is asking. End of story.
Okay.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make? Why? It's the universe that's asking it. Is the universe possibly going to have a crap reason for it?
Probably.
But in the big picture, it's going to make sense, right?
It'll make sense, but it could, at the time we
it may be totally shit. I mean, the universe maybe wants me to be nasty to somebody, for instance. I don't know, whatever. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But in the big overall make sense picture, it totally makes sense, correct? There's the grand agenda is about awareness. The universe's thing is about leveraging our awareness. So there's a grand purpose to it. Can I see what the grand purpose is? No. It's like I'm the butterfly sneeze that causes the typhoon that needs to happen for whatever reason, right? But I need to sneeze.
Yeah.
Can't be asking why. How in the hell do you explain to the butterfly it needs to sneeze to cause the typhoon to happen? It's not possible. See? So this is why we need to act without agenda, because if we cannot, we start to put our own agendas into things, and we start to think we know better than the universe. And that's, of course, where we go wrong, right? So acting without agenda is very critical. So you do the things you do because they're right, because of impeccability.
Right.
They're just simply right. There's no, they just, well, you do it because this is what it needs doing, right? In Texas, where you live now, they have a law called the he needed killing law.
Yeah, heard about that.
Yeah. Now, okay, it's come about from BMNs, but actually it's quite an appropriate law in a real bigger picture, right? Yeah. So sometimes you get weird things happening for bad reasons, but you see, this makes my point here, right? I mean, sometimes there is, he needed killing. That's why I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting that this is an actual law in Texas, of all places. I mean, if there's one state that has plenty of people who need killing, it's probably Texas, right? But anyway,
it could be.
Not the most, maybe, but plenty. Well, anyway, my point is this ability to act without agenda. This is really, really potent, right? And then, when we tie this to nobility and the universal connection, the universal school, all of this stuff, it's a huge, huge, huge point. And when we start to live in attunement, you see how critically necessary this is. It's like when you start to live in awareness with the attention and appreciation, and you need to have abstract. You need to understand the abstract and have the ability to abstract. In other words, to the ability to make conceptions and to see things like context. Those are all abstract, right? So this is the same logic. Without that, you're kind of lost. Without learning to act without agenda, you're lost. So very, very key points. Very, very key points. Those two should be. Go ahead.
So I was going to tell you two things. On this map, the very first time you showed it to me, I struggled with following it.
Oh yeah.
Really struggled. And I don't know exactly why, other than I just felt like I didn't have a grasp on any of this. Because my mindset for myself, if you look at self-conception, my self-conception was like in the toilet. you know, I mean, there just
Yes.
wasn't
Yes.
anything but negative.
Yes. Yes. Now,
So
so
as
just to
but
interrupt you
as
real quick, I'll hold your point real quick. I want to just say, if you take this as kind of the head, yes, and then okay, this is like your heart, your character, your
hmm
self-conception. So that should be a little lower, yeah. But you see what I mean? That was your heart, your core, yeah. It's flawed.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I really had a hard time understanding it and following it.
Yeah.
And now what I can see is this is a complete, I think it's very appropriately named. I
Yes.
called it a,
Yes.
a map
Yeah.
because it really does show the path that we
Yes.
follow all
Yes.
these different points of
Yes.
consciousness,
Yes.
actually, and we're not even aware that we're doing 99% of it. We
Correct.
focus, I
Correct.
focus in on just
Correct.
one
And that
aspect at a time.
exactly. And that's why I came to the map, because you said, oh, I like so many things to remember. No, you don't. You have to remember one thing: appropriateness. That's it.
Yeah,
Because once you understand appropriateness, you say, well, what do I need to be appropriate? Well, context. Well, how do I? Well, obviously, I need awareness in order to figure out context and goals. You see, and then that leads from awareness. Well, attention and appreciation is like, well, duh. Attunement. Well, okay, attunement is anomalies and acting and all that stuff, right? You know it. So you see what I
right,
mean? You don't
right.
need to remember. It feeds on itself. What is your self-conception made of? Well, it's built on your dictionary of power, and your self-conception, because it's a conception, not a description, it's a strategic self-leverage, right? Now
Yeah.
you see how your previous self-conceptions absolutely screwed you over big time, yeah?
Yes, yes, yes.
There was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
strategic self-leverage, none.
Uh-uh.
But when you shifted your conception to say, whoa, wait a second, I'm a spirit warrior. And what does a spirit warrior do? All of the stuff, this is all the stuff. This is me. This is all me. Yeah. Holy shit, I'm a lot more than I ever thought I was.
Exactly.
Now your
Yep.
self-conception went from all murky and dingy, and suddenly it's flashing and it's all shiny and bright and awesome. It's power.
Well, yeah.
Self-conception
It,
is power. Yes.
yeah. I just I try not to flash it. How's that?
All right, but still, okay. It hums maybe with quiet power or something. I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
walk past those the power generator boxes in the neighborhood. They very, you
Yes.
don't really see them, but you come close, you can hear that hum, right? So it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you
Well,
knock
and
those
it's
things out, if you destroy them, the whole town or city or neighborhood can all go dark. You know what I mean? So they make a
right,
big difference. And that's like self-conception is, it's quietly in the
right.
background, but power. But what I'm trying to
Now what
say
are
is
the
your self-conception, when you look at this map and you say, this is sure. Tell me what on
uh-huh.
this map is not sure. Now, all right, well, let's go from the top here, right? So what part of this does not fit into sure? Is sure, do things make sense with sure? Yeah, can they make more sense? Of course, right? But that's always going to be so. But more or less, most life mainly sort of more or less makes sense to you. Yes,
Right,
right.
right.
You understand the meaning of life. It's all about awareness, development, enhancement. So you know what the meaning of life is. People will say, "Oh, what's the meaning of life?" Well, it's not a very big secret, right? I mean, it's just that,
No,
well,
it's
at least
not.
for most people, I guess it is, but they think it's an unanswerable question, and this makes them not connect to the answers, right? So
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
you can have there's multiple. To answer that question, what's the meaning of life, is very easy. But all right, so Sher knows this. Sher's aware of the grand scheme of things, correct?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yep.
Perspective shifting. You use this all the time. You know that perspective shifting is a magic wand, right? And it
Yes.
leads to full comprehension when you apply it, right? So you do this.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, we're going to spend a long time going through all of this here, but you'll see all of this applies to you, right? Wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just running my eye. Is there anything that jumps out to you that is not part of you?
I'm looking as you go slowly. So far, no.
Right.
There's things that I'm still working on achieving,
Yeah, yeah,
on
but right. So I'm
developing.
saying that's absent. Of course, everything is
Yeah.
going to be present, and it's going to be a matter of degree. And
Yes.
some
Yes,
things you
there's a
may
matter
like
of
end of
degree.
day think through. That might not be a
Yeah.
particular habit for you, but it's one I really recommend. But it doesn't have to be,
Oh
right?
no, it
But
is. It is.
Okay. Right.
It
I'm just saying,
definitely
though,
is.
it may
Morning.
be of that nature, right? So
Yeah.
let's look on this side. We didn't go through all of them here now.
Oh, they're hard to
Real,
see.
resonance, sophisticated, understanding, earnest goodness, self-confident,
Those are,
motivated goodness.
so I get what you're, yeah, I get what you're saying. Everything in there is a part of me, who I am.
Right.
And
Now,
I
okay,
appreciate that,
let's. Sorry,
but
finish. Sorry, sorry.
I appreciate what you said, though. It's
Yeah,
a matter of degree. I really
correct,
like
correct.
that statement.
Right, but
Yeah.
I want to be very contextual here. I'm not a great
Mhm.
fan of comparative thinking, but sometimes comparisons are valuable. Okay, take the
Yeah,
average
they
person.
are.
Take the average person, right? The average person that you know, and let's just take some of these ways of living, right? Let's take the sophistications. Do they have detachment?
Okay.
Hell no. Do they have artistry of living? Hell no. Do they leverage death?
No,
Hell no. Do they accept without accepting? Hell no. Do they believe without believing?
no,
Hell no. Do they have
no,
appropriate application of goodness? No. They have inappropriate application of
no.
goodness. Right. Do
Yeah,
they
they
have
do.
purpose? Do they have harmony, continuity, committed, cohesiveness, unrelenting positivity? No, 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 no. So they don't have enhancements, they don't have sophistications. Do they have these key conceptions, perspective shifting? No, they have no clue what the hell that is. Right? They think black, white. Do they know that they are the final arbiter of truth? Oh, hell no. They believe every second Dick, Tom, and Harry, every troll on the internet, every conspiracy theory.
Oh, I know.
They completely
That's one of
don't
my favorite ones.
understand or they believe the minister, the priest, the politician, whatever. Force of circumstance, what the fuck is that? They say. Effort reward balance, no conception, no clue, right? Do you see my point,
Right.
Sure?
Yes,
So
I do.
it's not just
I
that
do.
these things are in you and while I'm working on them, they are in you. And that is
Yeah.
massive because regardless of the degree, right? It makes no difference in
Right.
degree. The mere fact that it's there makes a
Okay.
massive difference. Take the people
The
who don't
degree
have
is
it,
my
right?
perception. Well, but the
Right.
degree would be
But
my
yeah,
perception. And
right.
okay.
But compared to absence, right? When
Mm,
you have a
hmm.
little bit of magic,
Yeah.
how tiny a bit of magic can you possibly have where it's not an infinity away from zero magic?
Okay. I'm not sure I follow.
Okay, so if you say I've got magic compared to no magic, this is like
Oh,
a universe, an infinity of difference between
yeah.
having magic. Now, take that magic that you do have and you make it less, 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 less. Does it make the infinity any less? No, it doesn't. The
No.
tiniest bit of magic is still an infinity away from zero. Yes?
Okay. Okay.
See?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
any of these things is a magic, right? And the
Right.
tiniest presence is profound compared to not having it. Yes?
Okay.
I mean, take this arbiter of truth here, just for sake of one
My
thing, right?
favorite one. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
It
The
is. It is my
individual and
favorite.
individual alone is the final arbiter of truth.
Yes.
Understanding
Yes.
this frees you from should, frees you from beliefs, frees you from
Yes.
blind obedience. The
Yes.
difference between this and not understanding this, not knowing this, it is the difference between a completely sucky, slavey, mindless life of just doing whatever and really being subjugated, oppressed, whatever. Just a fucked up life compared to a life that you at least on the path to freedom. I don't care
Yeah.
how far away from freedom I am, as long as I'm on that fucking path, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Compared to not
You
being on
see,
that path, oh, I'm totally fucked then, right? So I'm happy
but
wherever I am on the path compared to not being on the path. I'm thrilled. I am super thrilled, correct? So
yeah.
now when we look at Sher, right, simply through coming into contact with these conceptions, right, that's all that was needed. You became aware of them, you added them to yourself because they're self-evident sensibilities, and you were profoundly enhanced and changed compared to the average person. Sure, for all of Sher's needing to learn more, for all of Sher's tiny little bits of all of these things in here needing more and work and all this. So fucking what? Compared to the average person, you may as well be an angel compared to them, or a god, or something, some alien or whatever, something truly transcendent. I don't want to have it be superlative necessarily, but you are an entirely different type of a being, to the average person. Am I right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
That's what,
it's not
yes, I
better or
am.
worse. It just is. That's just how it is. I mean,
Right.
I'm an entirely
Yeah.
different being to a baby because, well, the baby's not aware yet, and it's
Oh,
just a mindless idiot. That's it. All babies are
right.
mindless idiots. Okay, it's not a very positive way of saying it, but that's really what they are.
Right.
So,
Right.
but we love them regardless. So just because we are different doesn't mean that I can't love people who don't have these things in them. Of course I do. And
Yes,
I've got empathy for them
exactly.
and understanding. And I remember when I did not have these, right? So I never forget my
Indeed.
nincompoopry. I never forget when I was without. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not a better or worse thing. It's just a difference thing. However, that I do want to say it though, when we are looking at this update to Sher's self-conception, it's not just, oh,
Uh-huh.
I know a few little things. You do. But those few little things are incredibly transformative, right? So be
Yeah, they are.
absolutely thrilled that you have a tiny little bit of everything in here in you. It's the tiny little
Um,
bit that makes the difference. A tiny little bit of being on the path means you are on the path.
yeah.
It's like being a tiny little bit pregnant. You're pregnant.
Yeah, that's true.
You're on the path. It doesn't matter how
Yeah.
much or how little, you're
Well,
on the path, right? So this is the difference. The difference of having the stuff in you, the degree is irrelevant because you're on the path. Having it puts you on the path. Yes?
right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so that's, I think that's also too why what I posted a message recently about it. To me, it doesn't matter whether or not we met a goal. It was the effort that we put into it, the quality
Exactly.
of the effort.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
I don't know why that struck me as needing to be said yesterday. I think part of it was because I needed to say it to myself because
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
heard my
Yeah.
I heard a message in my head that, oh shoot, it's the end of the year and I didn't meet my weight goal. It doesn't matter. So
Right.
what you're saying here is the same thing. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's the tiniest bit. It's the quality
Exactly. Exactly.
of
It's a
the
paradigm
application.
shift. It's a
The
paradigm
effort.
shift.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to me, it's the quality. Um,
Exactly.
it's not
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done, what I've accomplished. It's being able
Yeah.
to appreciate that
Yeah.
effort
Yeah.
in myself, the
Yeah.
idea that I even have been
Yeah.
trying this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that had to be said.
Right.
I don't know why, but it just felt like it.
Exactly. It's huge. It's huge. So, it doesn't matter when we're on the path. When we are on the path, capital P path,
Uh-huh.
any effort, it's a magic path. Any
Yes,
effort
it is.
is worthwhile, right? So
Yeah.
when I'm on the path, it doesn't matter what the hell I'm doing because always my energy is in some way adding to any of these little concepts here, right? These blocks,
Yeah.
these. What difference does it make? The more I enhance my discernment, at some point I'm going to say, well, I can't really go further here. My effort reward, I've got to now pay attention to something else. Okay, now so whatever. So right, at some point I'm going to have to fill in the color of all of these blocks. Right, it may be right
Yeah.
now I've just got one little pixel of green in there. Right, but at some point I'm going to fill it up and say, well, okay, I can make it a deeper green, but at some point it becomes sort of unneeded effort, right? I mean, once you've got enough of
Yeah.
something, you don't necessarily
Right.
need more, right? So, of course, and then you may say, okay, now come back and well, now it's time for a different color, and because you got green one, now it's all dark green. Well, now I got to start all over again. Okay, I'm building on top of my discernment. I'm not developing deep discernment or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying for argument's sake here. But my point
Right.
is, when you're
Right.
on the path, this kind of path, any effort is moving you along the path.
Yes, it
Doesn't
is.
matter what
Yes,
it
it
is,
is.
any effort.
Yeah.
Right now, if I were to say to Sher, where I think you could really be very useful for you is, anticipation.
Okay. Why is that? I'm just trying to.
Because it would shift you and it would give you a power pause. That is a power pause that comes ahead of the thing. Typically, a power pause is in the moment. You're stopping the
Okay.
moment and you're taking a step, which is kind of almost a step to the side or a step back, right? To assess.
Okay.
Anticipation means you don't have to stop what's going on. You can redirect it. You see that train coming, so you can get yourself to the shunting lever.
Okay.
See? Where
Okay.
if you don't have anticipation and the train's already past the shunting thing, well, then pulling on that lever not going to make any difference. Well, it'll derail the train actually, right? Because you're going
Okay.
to shunt the
Okay.
back half of the train and the front half is already past, and they're going to, So yeah, this will cause a great calamity. So, but
Yeah.
anticipation is huge because it will give you that ahead of time, a preemptive power pause. Triple P. I love triple P's. Preemptive power pause. It's like practical
That's
personal philosophy. Triple P's. I love the
that
triple P,
one.
right?
Okay, I
So a
understand. Yeah, I
preemptive power
understand.
pause. What does this mean, Sher? It means you've got a few moments in which to choose what you're going to do,
See, that's
what
going
you're
to take
going to
practice.
do, not how you're going to respond or react. A power pause changes react into respond, correct?
Right. Right.
But it removes your choice because the thing has already happened. But anticipation allows you to choose what you can interact with, what's going to happen. You can shunt that train, right? Very, very
Okay.
big difference.
Yeah, but then
Massive difference.
what's the difference? No, then you got the difference to me. Then my mind just automatically said, well, what's the difference between anticipation and expectation? Because how can it?
Well, expectation is insisting things go into a particular way that you would like. Expectation
Okay.
is, well, this is me taking what I want and expecting it to happen. It's like an arrogance. Anticipation is simply paying attention to what is and being able to see it before it's right on top of you. That's all.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
all that anticipation is, it's taking your awareness and it's putting a time buffer between you and what's happening. This is what anticipation is. It's a time buffer.
Okay.
It's a particular attention. What happens to most people? They're in the now, things happen and they react or respond. This is where the power pause comes in. You're changing your reaction to response. So you've got a bit of a better
Right.
chance to choose. But if you anticipate, you can choose to interact or not. Once you're interacting, then you've got to, now you're forced to choose and deal with the situation, right? Your
Right.
choices are more limited. Anticipation expands the range of your choices. You can choose to get involved or not involved. You see trouble coming, well, I can stick around and deal with trouble, or I can absent myself and not deal with trouble. See, very
Okay.
simple, very simple.
Yeah.
So
No, I get that.
strategically, on a pure physical survival point of view, that's how I never got bullied, simply by applying actual anticipation. I simply looked, instead of looking down at the sidewalk in front of me and stepping on the cracks or not, I looked ahead. Was there a bully on the corner? Well, there is. I'll go a different route.
Yeah. See, but
Very,
with
very
CJ, I
powerful.
didn't anticipate,
I mean, it's
you
so
know,
simple, but it was transformed my whole childhood.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Same with teachers, anticipate the teachers, stay out of trouble. Yeah.
yeah.
Did I
Okay.
read you the great walloping story, by the way? It's for
I
fun.
think so. I
We
think
did
so.
about the hidings.
Yes, I believe
Oh,
so.
oh, oh, oh!
I believe
I
so.
know I read it with
Maybe.
somebody, but I couldn't remember who it was. Oh, it was with you then. It's only with you
It,
then
it,
that I read. I didn't with anybody else.
I don't know if you did or not. I mean, it sounds familiar, but
Oh, when I was at school, I was in let's see, fifth grade, and the teacher with the hairbrush and the hidings that she gave the kids. No, that story.
I don't know.
Oh, anyway. No, I
Maybe.
don't think
Okay.
it was with you that I read it then. That's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll read it. So just for fun, it's about, some anticipation involved there, but, other stuff too,
Okay.
strategy, thinking ahead a little bit. But yeah, you know,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay. Well,
and it's just a fun story.
what are you
Just, yeah,
doing?
it's funny too.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe a bit shocking for CJ. I don't know. Back
Hold
in the
on.
day when hidings were an issue. So
Wait.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll read it another time.
Um, okay. Two things. Am I, would you mind sharing a copy of this with me? Because I want to study it, number one. Number
Yeah,
two,
I
I think
will.
it would be really valuable to help explain some of this
Yeah.
to a respectable young man.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
secondly, I'm going to have to go soon because he's having
Yeah.
problems with his scooter,
Yeah.
and
So,
so I'm going to have to fix that.
right. So one of my goals, as soon as capital allows, is to get this printed out into a life size, at least Sher's life size poster.
Okay.
You know, like 5 foot or something. You know, nice big colorful poster. You know, put this so you can put it up on the wall. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I think that would be awesome.
It
But I don't know.
will
Is
be
it?
WOI merch. That's what it will fall under.
Yeah.
We'll have
Yeah.
some merch.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I think
And
it's pretty cool.
I'm wary of sharing it. So I will send it to
Okay.
you on this proviso that, of course, you don't share it. Right now,
Oh,
typically,
heavens,
this is
no.
the one exception. Almost always, I'll say share like crazy. This is an exception because you
Yes.
remember when you first saw it, it was
Yeah.
discombobulating, right? And it can
Yes,
cause
it was.
severe depression when inappropriately shared. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
So,
We'll see.
so
Now
this
I'm
is
thinking of, wow,
it's
this
not
is
for
something
everybody.
that,
We got to be a bit
right.
conscious with this, right?
Exactly.
So
Well, no, but it's a really good visual for me to
yeah,
understand basically connecting,
yeah,
because I'm learning about myself. There are some,
correct,
um,
correct. Oh,
what do you call it?
yeah,
There's I'm not going to say it's limited, but there are some times where it's hard for me to connect things
correct,
unless I
correct,
can see it in a
correct,
picture.
correct.
Okay.
And this is exactly why I made it for this purpose to have a visual reference that is connecting, right? And it's a
Right.
visual
Right.
reference that is connecting to connectivity. That whole thing is
Yes.
about connectivity, how it all connects together. This is very good.
Yes.
And it's a reminder. Oh, you know what? And then as you walk by, like your eye catches something. Oh, I kind of forgot about that. I need to emphasize this a bit more, right? So it
There you
keeps
go.
us so that yes, eventually we're going to have all the colors filled in. But if we were literally doing this, and I would probably recommend this actually, right, is to make this, maybe I'll do that when I print it out, to make a color filled version and one that has no color in any of the blocks, where you,
Right.
the individual, okay, I've been working on let's say habit management, and you color it in a
Right.
bit.
Color it in.
And you keep coloring it in. Okay. And then when you look visually, you're going to see, that one there needs a bit more coloring in now. And then you go and you work on that. And this would be a
Right.
very profound. So when I do print it out, I will print the two versions, make a smaller one,
Yeah.
colors, but all bigger too, that you can put it up and you go on the wall and you
Yeah.
color in. I think this would be
Yeah.
profound. It would be huge. So yes.
Oh,
Okay.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm sending
Well, I
it to
look
you
forward
right
to
now.
getting to that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And also,
I'm gonna.
the other reason I don't share this is, people like to steal stuff sometimes. Now, it's very hard
They
to steal my
do.
stuff because there's so much of it. But if you have this mind map, you can steal.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah. So
I
now, I mean,
respect you too much to share
that's just
that.
why,
So,
once things get out there, it changes things. Now, again, I don't doubt if you're in contact with people like that, but you never know, So, yeah.
oh yeah, no, no,
I'm just,
you have my word. I
I'm
would
just
not
cautious with this.
share
It's
this.
power, and I'm always cautious with power,
Yeah,
right?
it is. It is.
I'm about to send you
Um,
email. Yeah.
okay, very good. Oh my goodness. Okay,
How is
so
CJ, by the way?
he's doing great. He got his blue belt last night,
I
and
saw.
yeah, he had a really good class last night. Um, really stayed on top of it. He stayed attention. He was just on cue
Wonderful.
with everything. And then we also went to the rec center. We've been trying to do that pretty frequently. We'll go again tomorrow. Um, because he does, working out at the rec center alongside me, and then he works with my uncle. Um, we did some swimming yesterday. We played in the pool, so that was fun. Yeah,
Wonderful. So you got a heated pool you can swim in somewhere?
yeah, we do. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, we
Wow.
sure do. That's at the
Wow.
rec center.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, it's at our local rec center. It's where we do our workouts and stuff, where I go and do my walking and my biking and stepping. And then yesterday we added the pool onto it. So we stayed in we swam for about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes or so.
Fantastic.
And we
Fantastic.
wound up doing water volleyball, CJ and I did. So that was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, we
Wow.
both slept like logs last night.
Yeah.
It was a full day. super full day. So,
yeah.
um,
Wonderful, wonderful.
but it
You
was
know,
good. We needed
I have this
me do it, please.
this also with just the main concept. So I'm going to send you both.
Wait. Okay.
The mind map. I have it with,
Patience, please.
what's that?
No, I was telling CJ to please be patient.
Oh.
He's
Yeah, we're nearly
practicing
done.
some
We're nearly done.
impatience.
We're nearly done.
Yeah.
Patience is a superpower.
Just be
Okay,
patient.
I'll send the file as
CJ,
soon as
please.
it's finished uploading. You know, because they're big files. So big
Okay.
visual files. So as soon as they
No,
finish
I'm
loading, I'll
asking
send
you
the email.
not to yet. Just a minute.
Say again?
So, okay, just a minute. So the
Oh.
reason why I'm asking you to be patient is because those Allen wrenches can snap. Okay.
Oh.
So that's why I'm asking be patient, please. Okay, you can spin the wheel, but please don't use the Allen wrench yet because it can snap. Thank you. All right. So anyway, okay, I'm gonna have to scoot. Yeah, it's already 1 o'clock. So, but this has been most helpful today, and I got my
Yes.
I think I have a clear understanding of what the shift was all about, and that map is what's really going to help. Being able to look at those things, like when I have those questions of, okay, what just occurred? So
Yeah.
it might help me.
This map is a huge deal. It's a
Well,
huge
it kind of
deal.
reminds me of the "You Are Here" maps that they have in the mall.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
But you know,
it's kind of like
when
that for me.
right, right. But for me, the most profound thing is when we said self-conception, and we said, what of this map does not belong in Sher?
Yeah,
Is there an absence somewhere? That was transformative, no?
right.
In terms of
That's true.
self-appreciation. Say, I
Yes,
realize
there's
I have
room
a
for
long way to go, but
self-appreciation.
man, I also have to appreciate I've come a long way. Yes.
Yeah, we'll see, and it's good for seeing
Difference.
that.
Say again?
Yeah, it's really good for seeing that. Like I said, it's a perfect "You Are
Yeah,
Here" map. It
yeah,
really is. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So this is
Okay.
something that is profound for CJ. So if you can print out a smaller version of it, you know, that you can
Okay.
put on your wall, I would recommend
Yeah,
putting this up. And then to
I
say,
think I
look,
will.
and do that same exercise. Yes, I've got a bit of this
Yes.
because I know what it is. And he's going to say, do I have this? No.
Right.
Final
Right.
arbiter of truth. It means meaningless to him. See?
Yeah.
It will make him be aware, and particularly for teenager preteens, they think they know everything. This is going to remind him, no, dude, you do not. A lot of things you have no clue
Right.
about yet, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
Very
All
powerful.
right, sir. I will probably. Are you doing the session tomorrow in the morning?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That reminds me, I must put up the event. I'm going to do that right now, actually. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking is because I just wanted to make sure that you weren't doing a holiday skip. So it's good to know.
Right.
I will.
Well, hang on. For me, Christmas is like any other bloody day. What is tomorrow?
It is to me. Tomorrow's Friday.
No, what I mean the date.
Christmas. Oh, tomorrow will be the 23rd. Christmas isn't until Sunday.
On
So
Sunday. Okay, so
um,
yeah, no, we fine then.
yeah,
Okay, I mean,
yeah,
I
I can
don't,
take it or
I
leave
don't
it
care. It's all the
myself.
same to me. But a lot of people are doing stuff.
Me
It's
too.
just a waste to do it on a day like that. But yeah, tomorrow's good.
Yeah,
So, all right, wonderful.
yeah. It's kind
Well,
of
and I enjoy doing
a
those
no-brainer
with
for
you. I
me.
don't know if Jessica will be able to join because she's probably at work, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm
Yeah,
I'm going to
I'm sure they'll
encourage
learn.
her to put it on because she can put it on the TV and have
Yes,
residents participate.
yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, wonderful.
all righty.
I
I'll
really,
look for
I
the
really
email.
want them to start doing the programs, the center, the whole
Yes,
situation. Right.
yes,
So that would be a good thing, be a really huge.
yeah. I
Wonderful,
think so
sure,
too.
wonderful. I'm just so happy at a shift, a very profound shift, right? There's a different path now, from where
Yes,
we
there
were.
is.
But the trust,
Yeah,
you see, trust, the
absolutely.
persistence, the determination. Don't forget that you were persisting in the darkness.
Hmm.
Don't forget that.
Absolutely, I was.
Do
Right.
not forget that. This is a profound, profound, profound skill. I can pretty much say I feel like this is my entire life, including now.
Wow.
Yes, wow.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
And that is the shift, though.
It's a huge deal to be aware that you were persisting in the dark.
Yeah.
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 Massive,
Okay.
massive addition to your self-conception. This is
I'm
something
gonna
that you
have
put
to
in your little pocket of
kitchen.
stuff that, hey, I feel good about this.
Yep.
This is something I can take some pride in, and appropriately so. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is where
And
you can
now
have
where?
humble pride. Yes? Seems a contradiction, but it's
Okay.
not. Right?
Well, I know it's not.
It's
I
not. It's
know.
like humble confidence, not a contradiction.
Yeah.
Same with humble pride. I take humble pride in my ability to persist in the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It builds my trust in myself and in everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very big,
Okay.
very, very, very big point. Probably one of the most biggest points that if we've shared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little time to absorb. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
So
a profound post.
it is. It is. But if I'm following you right, though, you're saying that the awareness that I was persisting in darkness, that's
Exactly. That's
that's
the
the
issue.
good thing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, persisting in the darkness is good. Yes. But if you don't retain an awareness that you were doing this, it's
Yes.
lost.
Yeah.
It's wasted, right? So then it doesn't become,
Right.
now you're aware that you were, and it's a skill, it's a power, it's an awesomeness, it's a fantasticness. Now it's like, oh, you're right, I was. Oh, oh. It's an
Yes.
awareness, it's a
To,
self-awareness
to
that's
just to, yeah,
positive.
to be able to see where I was. Okay. Yep.
Exactly. Because
I
when
get
you're
it.
in it, it doesn't sound like such a great and wonderful thing. Only afterwards is
No.
it great and wonderful. At the time, it was not fun.
Kind
Right?
of like it's like
That's why it's
no,
an
it's my
after the
life. Yeah.
potency. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Magic
Enjoy your
comes in many,
afternoon.
many forms. Right?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Very magical.
Okay.
Very
I will talk to you tomorrow then.
Bye bye. Bye bye, Sher. Bye bye. Oh, such magic. So
Bye
magic.
bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.